Hello and thank you for watching my presentation on how a large naturally vegetated area impacts the suspended solid and DOC concentrations in an agriculturally impacted watershed. The potential impact is worth studying as a stream's water quality is entirely dependent on the catchment area. This is due to water bodies being located at topographic low points, causing all runoff to eventually make it into a stream or lake. This runoff can carry increased concentrations of suspended solids and different dissolved organic carbon levels, especially in agricultural watersheds. The majority of solids are sediment in agriculturally impacted areas, which is the main polluter of U.S. streams. Sediment can bind nutrients and heavy metals, therefore sediment pollution also tends to increase other pollutants, like phosphorus. Additionally, solids suspended in the water column affect turbidity, which decreases primary producers' photosynthesis ability. Moving on to my second focus parameter, dissolved organic carbon, or DOC. DOC is important as it is a central player in the carbon cycle. While it can enter streams a multitude of ways, predominant methods that apply to southwest Ohio are surface runoff and leaching from deciduous leaves. Past research has shown that it depends on the chemical makeup of the plant material if we observe an increase or decrease in stream DOC concentrations compared to natural levels. But it is not just land use and cover we expect to affect the water quality. Other parameters are seasonality and geomorphology. Seasonality affects precipitation significantly in southwest Ohio and therefore the discharge of a stream. The morphology and flow regime itself are of interest as they affect residence time. As you can see in this picture, riffles tend to move sediment along and have clear water with visible bedrock, while the pool acts as a temporary sink with settled solids covering the stream bed. So while we are aware of many underlying processes, there are still holes in the scientific literature regarding the effects of naturally preserved areas in a watershed. Research showed that between 64 and 84% of a variation in suspended sediment concentrations between streams can be explained by the amount of agricultural land use within the watershed. Similarly, dissolved organic carbon concentrations are positively correlated with the stream's discharge when the catchment has between 60 and 70% of agricultural areas. Moreover, vegetated buffer strips as thin as 10 meters have been shown to reduce these effects. But these studies look at the effect a buffer strip has on runoff from the adjacent farmland or urban area. They do not focus on how it might affect pollution already in the stream. What I'm trying to say is that these studies look at areas like the one sketched to the left. A stream surrounded by farmland has a small vegetated area between the fields and the stream catching some of the solids in the runoff, reducing the effect of agricultural runoff. However, what can a large forested area, like a state park, do to improve the water quality of a stream that enters the park boundary with a baseline of pollution? The purpose of this project is to increase the understanding of the impacts of a large forested area, like Houston Woods State Park, on an agriculturally impacted watershed. The gained knowledge can aid management practices and potentially help preserve natural areas, as studies looking at parks rather than parallel buffers separating fields from the stream are lacking. My project is broken up into two main research questions. First, how are suspended solids and DOC concentrations affected by the presence of such a large vegetated area? That leads to my second research question. What is causing this change? Here look at discharge, seasonal changes, stream morphology, vegetation conditions as independent variables. As already briefly mentioned, the study area is located in and around Houston Woods State Park in the southwest of Ohio. Most of the watershed is used for agricultural practices, and Houston Woods is the first large forested area the streams flow through. I collect surface water at these 19 locations, which are spanned across 4 streams and include 1 lake sample. Water samples are usually collected bi-monthly during the semester and weekly during the summer months. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, sampling was paused in March 2020 and resumed the last week of May. Due to all streams currently being dry, collection is paused again until the rivers resume flowing. During a multi-step process, the water is filtered with the pictures apparatus and prepared for different analysis. Filtered samples are analyzed for the DOC concentrations in Miami University's Global Change Limnology Laboratory by Aaron Overhaul, while total suspended solid concentrations are calculated from the sediment land filters resulting from the filtering process. Statistically, Shapiro-Wilk tests are run to check data for normality. Due to the data not being normally distributed, paired samples Wilcoxon tests were run between points located upstream at the park boundary and downstream. While there is a change in solid concentrations between points on each stream, as far as our preliminary data shows, is this observed change significant? Not for all. So far, only one stream shows a significant change, which is an increase from upstream to downstream, with the opposite being true for June. This is highly significant, though, with a significance level above 0.01. Similar trends are observed for dissolved organic carbon. As can be seen here, the concentrations of DOC do differ along a stream. However, this change is not significant across the board, only showing a significant change for 2 out of the 4 rivers. Here, an increase in DOC can be observed from the up to downstream. The next steps will be to collect more water samples once the rivers resume flowing, as well as the collection of independent variables. This includes monthly NDVI averages for each sampling location, streambed surveys, geomorphology surveyed at 11 locations along each river, mapping of pool riffle sequences, and stream discharge measurements and calculations. I want to extend my gratitude to MCD for funding this project, Dr. Grudzinski and my committee for their help, Tessa Farthing as the fellow grad student on this project, and all our undergraduate lab technicians and field helpers. For any questions, please contact me via the listed email address. Here are the cited works, and thank you for watching.